Flosstube. Oops, keep knocking over the camera now. Well, it's not a camera, it's my tablet, and it won't stay still. Okay. Where I left off was the next section was going to be about my quilts. And I know a lot of you have been talking about hand quilting and doing the paper piecing, and there's all different shapes that you can do paper piecing now. Years ago, the way I learned it, it was the octagons, and then I paper back them and stitch them and then stitch them together. So I'm going to show you that, but I'm going to show you first how I started. I started quilting by hand. I took a class. At that time there was a local quilt store that I was able to attend, and she had a hand stitching quilting class. So this was the book that we used. It's called The Sampler Quilt, and it's by Diane Leone or Leone. And we chose different patterns from this book, and we made a 6-panel lap quilt. And this is the one that I had, that we started with. I believe this is a churn dash, Dresden plate, and then we have a fan. I forget if it's grandmother's fan. And then there's the paper piecing from Grandmother's Flower Garden. And you can, for those that are doing it and are new to it, you can fussy cut your pictures and get them to lie just where you want when you're working on your hexies. This is the Bumblebee quilt block. And then finally, Card Tricks, which is right there. And then I did quilt the piece by hand. And the only thing that we learned to do in that class was to attach the binding with a machine, because you have to attach it to the right side and then fold it over and hand stitch it to the back. So from there, from that class, I said, and the book that I had, I says I can try different books and different blocks, and so I did, and I put it into a queen size quilt. I could not quilt a queen size quilt myself, so what I did was I sent it out and had somebody quilt it. A lady in Pennsylvania, Marshall was her last name, and I mean this is going back 25 years, maybe? Let's see. So, no, not 25 years. 20 years ago. I can't remember. I'm so sorry. If you're interested, I could look it up. Just let me know. But this is a queen size quilt that I had made. I made all the different blocks. It's hard to see here. My room is small. I can't go back far enough. But just to give you an idea of, it's called a sampler quilt, and because each one is a different pattern, and all the patterns that I did do, I did get from the book that I showed you. So that's my queen size quilt. Alrighty. And then I paper pieced a quilt top, and I never finished it. It's ready to be quilted, and it's basted to be hand quilted, but I don't think I'll be hand quilting anytime soon. At some point maybe I will machine quilt it. And it's called Grandmother's Flower Garden. And I think the way I chose it, and I'm still not good with colors and choosing colors. I chose this background fabric, this print, and from this print I chose the colors to make the blocks. And then if you can, I don't know if it'll pick up, there's chalk marks on the green of, maybe not, there's chalk marks on the green of where I was going to hand stitch, and every green sash has that marking. So when I feel like picking up a sewing machine again to quilt, I might take that out and finish it. Alrighty, I have a tip for you, and that is for those that want to frame your own projects. with, especially with beads, I get a frame that has a deep section here. And what I saw was when my husband and I framed my